Hi guys, my name is Sarah and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to make a backflow incense burner, not just any backflow incense burner though, a heckin' cute one. I haven't made one in quite some time, so I thought I would make one with you. I'm going to start with a Coke can and then I'm going to get my other half to drill a hole through it because I was slightly too frightened to, and I'm glad I made him do it because he managed to turn it into a little disc saw as he was drilling that and almost took his own fingers off. So just be very wary when drilling a hole in tin, because yeah, it can be quite dangerous. And then I'm going to use some epoxy sculpt just to, I don't know, make it a little less flimsy. I'm using epoxy sculpt because I feel like it will last better and deal with the heat better than my super sculpey will. I've never used my super sculpey to make this part, so I don't know, but I just feel like my epoxy sculpt will do it better. So I'm literally just making a tube for the smoke to filter down through when I put my incense on top of it. Other than that, it's, you know, getting on to the sculpting bit. I wanted to try and keep this as simple as I possibly could. So on this incense burner, I am literally just using like 3 broken mugs that I have floating around my house. I don't know why I keep everything, like literally I keep everything. But I'm using those to cure some round discs of clay onto. Just trying to keep the actual incense part as simple as I could. Of course it doesn't turn out that way because nothing I make is ever simple, but I tried. Once I finished making my little bowl flower things, I stuck those in the oven to let them cure, just so they'd be a lot easier for me to sculpt the base around. The foil that I've used on top of the old mugs, I'm literally going to use that to create a base for these to sit on. Okay, so this is probably one of the more important parts. You need to make sure that you keep this part, the incense holder part, very balanced. Because obviously you don't want the incense falling off. And you also need to make sure that the space is clear. So just bear that in mind during the whole process, and test. Make sure you are testing and testing again, because I'm glad I did, because this one didn't work. It wasn't because it wasn't clear, it's because there wasn't enough slope on my bowls. They literally, the smoke couldn't get out of the first one. So to cure this, I literally just drill some holes into the first 2 tiers of my incense burner, and the smoke can then get all the way down. Once cured the smoke issue, it was time to get the resin out because I wanted to make pretty crystals. This is just some floral or florist film. They literally use it to wrap flowers in. It literally costs nothing, but I got like a holographic version of it, and I just chop it up and it looks great in a crystal. I feel like it gives it like a really cool shimmer that you don't get from glitter. So yep, just chop that up into little pieces and then mix my resin. It was terrifying. The shapes of these bottles are just not conducive with pouring. I would just like to point that out. Square is awful. So after measuring, I mixed it thoroughly first and then mixed it thoroughly again. I did a lot of mixing. And then I added my pigments. These are just some cheap alcohol inks that I bought off of Amazon. They really do the trick quite nicely. You only need a few drops. And it keeps it quite nice and opaque so that I can still see all of my shininess when it's all cured. And then, yeah, I just went on to my pour, which is always my favourite bit is demoulding though. But I had to wait like 24 hours for that. As you can see from the top corner of your screen, I did go on to make like a second batch of the crystals in pink as well, because I feel like I didn't have enough. I'm kind of glad that I did, because I didn't have enough. And then I went on to make the base. I had like this little bamboo tray that I wasn't doing anything with. I filled that with black Fimo. I did that because the crystals are quite see-through and I didn't want grey clay sort of sticking up and showing through. So the black Fimo kind of just hides that, and it saves me having to do any painting around the crystals, which would be incredibly difficult. So I just stuck those into the Fimo. And then I went on to do the flower at the top around where my incense burner will be. I'm using cos clay, just because these are going to be fine little petals, and I feel like if I'd used any other clay it would break. So I'm just using Fimo to make the not Fimo, cos clay, definitely not Fimo. I've got too many clays, that's the problem. I use like 6 million clays in this project. If you are making this, you do not need to do that. You can literally pick your favourite type of clay and use that. I'm just lucky and have different types of clay, so I use them. But don't feel like you can't do this just using Super Sculpey, for instance. I just choose to use different clays. I wanted to add a load of mushrooms in and around all of my crystals, so to do that I'm using a little bit of Sculpey translucent to make the stalks of the mushrooms, and then I pre-baked those so that it would be nice and easy for me to just sort of shove on a load of mushroom tops, just using a little bit of Bacon Bond and some Super Sculpey that I can go ahead and paint later. Once I've done that, I literally just sort of jammed them in amongst all of the crystals, all willy-nilly, to make it as fantasy-esque as I could. After I finished basically making the backflow incense burner, I decided that I wanted to add a little bit of interest, so I made this heckin' cute little dragon. I chose 2 of the little glass eyes that kind of matched the colours of the crystals because I thought that was so cute. And then just made a cute little dragon. You don't need to make a dragon if you don't want to make a dragon. I literally just wanted to add something else to the sculpt. Literally everything works perfectly fine without the dragon. So you don't need to add a dragon. I really wanted to make something cute. And I feel like I gave him like the little puppy vibe as well, just with his like being on his hind legs and his little paws. He's very cute. I don't sculpt cute very often, so oh. Once I made my little dragon's face, I moved on to his body. I'm literally just shoving like a cocktail stick through his entire body to hold his head up, basically. And then I wanted to give him a upright stance, so I just went with like a pear shape and then built off of that. Literally, I wing everything as I'm sculpting, so there's no rhyme or reason why I make things the way that they turn out. So I don't know how I do it. I wing things as I'm going. I knew that I wanted to give him like little paws as opposed to like claws, so I gave him the little sort of begging puppy stance on his top arms. Are they arms? I don't know, dragon arms. And the chunky little dragon legs, he's kind of sat on them. That it's designed to look cute rather than functional, so all of his little spikes and his horns are made out of leftover epoxy sculpt from previous projects that I've literally just turned into either eyes or teeth, horns, you know, anything like that. Just something that might be useful in a project one day, which clearly they were. So yeah, you could make those out of clay and then pre-bake them just to make it easy to stick them in, and then it was onto the wings. I made the wings out of cos clay. Once again, you can make it out of any clay, but for me, I am going to bash these about a bit, so I used my cos clay. Although I did this on a day that it was really hot here in England, and it felt very melty. Very difficult to use cos clay when it's hot outside. So my advice to you is, if you are going to try and use this stuff on a really hot day, stick it in the fridge for a little while. It's a little bit easier to use. Other than that, have fun struggling because it's very melty. after one final test, just to make sure absolutely everything is working and nothing's in the way, that the vines don't cause an issue, you know, everything is working fine, I popped everything into the oven for a bake. Now, I am going to have people say to me, isn't it dangerous to put resin in the oven? Yes, it is. If you are doing this in a home oven, pop all the resin off, then put it in the oven and then glue your resin pieces back on. I have a separate oven that I stick everything in my garden when I'm using resin, so that I don't have to do that. So it's slightly lazy of me, but other than that, if you're doing it, pop all the resin off first, bake everything, and then glue your resin back in. After that, it was on to painting for me. I'm just using my Vallejo Model Air paints and some of my Peebo paints and some of my Arteza paints. Like, literally, I'm using everything. So yeah, use lots of different varieties of paints. You don't have to be loyal to any one paint company. Use what you love painting with. As we figured out from all the testing, the incense leaves a very nasty colour all over everything. So I decided to coat everything that the smoke was going to touch in resin and allow that to cure overnight. Just so that I can literally make it wipeable afterwards. And then, yeah, like literally everything was done thereafter. So I do hope you enjoy. If you do make one of your own, then please do share it with me at Pixie Wolf Designs. You can find me literally everywhere: Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, wherever there is a social media site, I am on it. And I would love to see what you guys are making. If you like this video, then please do take a minute to, you know, click the like button, and you know, if you really liked it, then maybe subscribe. I do love a new subscriber. I guess I will see you in the next video, guys. I will catch you later. Bye.